Okay, let's now continue with the developments of the controller. As we said before, as a recap, so we said this block of code has been attached to the button over here because we have set the onClick attribute over here to be compute BMI button clicked, which is exactly the name of this block of code, the method name, compute BMI button clicked. And notice that you must say view over here as the input type. Okay. So now what we should do, I'll just divide that into different phases. That's for your convenience, for the convenience of your understanding. Okay. So now phase 1. So what we're gonna do is phase 1. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna retrieve, because as soon as the button of the compute, okay, let me just tell you the idea. Okay, let me just go back to the view over here. As soon as I click on this button here, compute BMI, I should really retrieve every value that's being entered in these 3 text fields: the name and the weights and the heights. So these are the 3 values I would need in order to generate the computing outputs to be displayed on the mobile screen. Okay, these are the 3 information. Okay, so now how do I find them? Okay, so now let's go back to controller over here, retrieve the values for the edit text fields. Okay, but how do we do that? Okay, in order to do this, okay, let's make sure it's aligned well. To do this, we can call some helper methods. When I talk about model and later in the course, I'll talk about what does it really mean to actually have helper methods and what does it mean when you call them. Basically, think of this. So helper methods simply means those are some block of code that you define elsewhere, which you're just trying to call them to reuse. Okay, so they're not really this particular method over here. They're just defined somewhere, and I'm going to define them exactly here. Okay, so now there are 3 different helper methods I'm going to define. Let's just type with me, and then hopefully for now, for the lab exercises, you can simply just copy and paste them verbatim into your controller code just to reuse them. That's absolutely fine. But as we go along with the course, you should really try to understand what's really set inside the body of the helper methods. Okay, let's type them out. Okay, the first one, and I'm gonna say private over here. Okay, private simply means it's only visible in the current class. Private void set contents of text view. Okay, you can see the method name is compound words, and then over here we're gonna give 2 inputs: integer ID and also a string new contents. And over here, what do we do when we call this method? Okay, we'll do the following: view, and view is assigned to find view by ID. It's predefined method, just pass the ID. So this ID over here corresponds to the ID that's passed as input. Okay, it may not make much sense to you for now, but at least you can try to type with me, and then hopefully you will understand later in this course. And then text view. Okay, let me do it again. Text view over here. Make sure text view is a widget. Text view, text. Okay, text view. Just text view and then text view. Okay, just give a name of the variable is assigned to text view over here inside parentheses and then view. And then we're gonna say text view dot set text new contents. Okay, you can see that the code completion feature in Android Studio is quite nice. When I say new, and you can see new contents which correspond to the input new contents here is just available for me to. You can just hit enter for me to choose. Okay, that's the first helper method. Okay, let me also put some comments over here. So whenever you have slash, let me just show you. Whenever you have // and then hit enter, it's going to give some comments of your code, which means these are just for you to understand, to document your code. Okay, so now I can say helper methods for retrieving contents from the GUI. For retrieving and also changing, let's say. Okay, helper method for changing. This particular method here is for changing the contents. Okay, just a single helper method. And then we got to define another two. Okay, another two here. Let's put the proper comments here. The helper methods for retrieving contents from the GUI. Okay, now we're gonna have another two. Okay, now the first one, private string, and then get, and everything should be case sensitive. Input of text field, and then integer ID. By the way, the ID over here, guess what? This ID is relevant to what you said before when we implemented the view for the GUI. Remember, for every GUI component, we actually got some IDs before. So now if you look at that, for example, you can see that label name, input name, label weights, input weights. So these are the IDs we're going to use as input to say, if I want to find out what's the contents for this particular name over here, I should really grab this particular GUI contents by its ID, which is input name. Okay, I'll show you how you can do it in just a moment. Okay, let's continue with the second helper method. Okay, view is similar idea, similar code over here. Find view by ID, and then we got edit text. Okay, edit text is edit text with parentheses and then view. And then string input is edit text dot, and we talk about dot notation also throughout the course. Get text dot to string. So dot notation is a very common notation, unique notation when you do object-oriented programming. Okay, and then return input. Okay, let's do a third helper method. And then I'll try to document these three helper methods a little bit better. Okay, I'll do that in just a moment. And then we have another one, which will be, well, actually it turns out we only need two helper methods for this particular tutorial. Good. So I will introduce more helper methods a little bit later when you do more complicated example. Okay, so let's document these two methods a little bit better. Okay, given the ID set in the view XML file, given the ID of a text view, we change its contents to new contents over here. So how can this be useful? Imagine this. You can see that the answer over here is a text view, and initially it simply just display answer. So once we compute the BMI for a particular person, we want to change this from answer into whatever that person's BMI is. So in this case, change the content could be useful. Okay. And then the next helper method is over here. Helper methods for retrieving contents from the GUI. Okay. So now, given the ID set in the view XML file of a text, edit text of an edit text. Okay, edit text, what can be the example? Example can be, this is one edit text, this is one edit text, this is also one edit text. You can see edit text over here as well in the component tree. Okay, what can we do with them? Of an edit text, retrieve what the user has entered there. Okay, that's what we can do. Okay, you can try to make the indentation a little bit better. So you can make a tab over here, tab, 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 and then tab. Okay, you can see the text is actually of different color. So the gray color means these are just for documentation only, for your code to be more readable. Okay, so now for phase one. So now that we have defined the two helper methods over here, so one is for us to changing the text view, the contents, and the other one is for us to retrieve the edit text field contents. So now we can actually retrieve everything that we need. Okay, first of all, let's see. Let's go back to the view here. We want to retrieve the name. We want to retrieve the weights. We want to retrieve the heights. So these are the three things we want to retrieve. Let's try. Okay, let's first of all try to do as follows. So now we'll declare the type string, and then we can say text name is. So now for this right hand side over here, we're going to call the helper methods for retrieving the contents of the text field. Okay, we can say get, we can just type the name, get input of text field, and then we can give the ID. How can we give the ID in this case? Oh, okay, and for this one here, we're gonna look up back in the GUI file. But let's type some prefix first. r.id. Over here, you can see the list of choices over here. So these are the IDs that we defined in the XML file previously. So now this one here, we want to get it. So this text field here has the ID input name. Okay, so let's select the input name. ID dot input name. Okay, that's a text name. Okay, similarly, we can string the text for the weights. Get input of text field. Since we have named our ID consistently, so I don't even have to look. So that should be input weight. And also string text height is get input of text field r.id dot input height. Okay, up to this point, we can already do something quite interesting for our app. Okay. Okay, so now let's say phase two. So these are the three pieces of information that we have retrieved. And now what we can do right now is okay, let's just put a comment here. Okay, let's now do phase two. And then we're going to say, based on the information retrieved, display them. Okay? Okay, how do we display? The way we display is by changing the contents for the answer text view. Okay? How do we do that? Okay? Let's say string and then I'll just say contents over here. I can make it very just very easy. So let's say we already got the name, the weight, and the height. So text name plus some string. The plus over here is so-called string concatenation. So that's something I will explain a little bit more in the course. Okay, string plus here is the string concatenation. Okay, and 2 forward slashes R is just another way for you to do comments in Java. Okay, so text name plus heads weight plus text weight plus and height and plus text height. Okay, that's already some contents we can set. Now let's set the contents. Let's say set contents of view, and then r.id dot is called answer. I think it's called, let me just double check. So now what should be the ID? So it should be label answer. Okay, label answer. Label answer. That's what we have. And then it has to pass 2 things. So this is how we find out the ID for retrieving the GUI components, and then change the contents to be just contents. So this contents here correspond to this contents over here. Okay, so now that's it. And now what we can do is we can launch our app right away to see how it will show up. Let's do it right away. Okay, so now if you just click on the launch button here, and then if the USB is not, if your tablet is not connected, you should really connect it right away. And then launch it. Okay, connect your USB tablets, and then go to the top over there of your virtual machine. If you're using the lab machine, you should really go to the bottom there. If you're using a home computer running the virtual machine, you should go to the top of the virtual machine, go to devices, and then select USB, and then choose the ASUS Nexus 7. Okay, choose that, and it's now connected. So what we can do now is click on the play button again. So now it's there, and now on your tablets, it should show that allow USB debugging, and just allowed. Just say OK. And then we're going to run it. Okay, click on OK. Okay, so now you can see that this second version of the app we have developed is now launched again. The previous version, the first version, was with the view only. Now the second version is where we got the controller partially implemented, and now we only retrieved the information for name, weight, and height without doing any computation. Okay, let's just get a feel how this will run. Enter your name. Let's say the same, Jackie over here, and then enter your weight. Let's say 70 kilograms, and then the height, let's say 1.7 meters. Now, when I say compute BMI, in the previous first version where there was no controller implementation, only the view, it was pretty much useless because there's nothing that will do to change the answer. But now, if I say compute BMI, since I already attached a block of code, namely the compute BMI button clicked, right? So I have already attached that code to the compute BMI. So now as soon as I click on this button here, that attached code will be executed right away, which will display the name, has weights, whatever, and heights, whatever. Okay, let's click on the button here, and you will see Jackie has weight 70 and height 1.7. Okay, but this, we are getting much closer from before to our final destination, but we are not there yet. As you can see, this only tells you what inputs we have read from the GUI, but it does not do any computation. There's no intelligence there yet, but we'll do that in just a moment.